Wow, very cool. Really got things on.
Please join me in the flag. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please join me as I pray. As always, Father, we're thankful for the blessings of this new day, for this new year that you've given us. And it's not unbiblical to ask you sometimes, Lord, why? Why are we asked to suffer so much? And we've been through so much ever since Harvey, and the path ahead is still not clear. And as I pondered that question to you, Lord, I thought about the live oak trees that line our shoreline along Fulton Beach Road, and how through the years they've been battered and buffered and by the storms and twisted, and they just set their roots deeper, and they lean and they give away from the prevailing winds. And that's what we need to do, Lord. When we ask why, we just need to dig our roots deeper into you, to draw our nourishment daily from you and to seek your wisdom. So that's my prayer as we go into this new year for these commissioners, that in every decision they make, that they dig their roots deep into your nourishment and they seek your will and guidance as they move this county forward in 2021. And we just pray this in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome our new commissioner and new county attorneys. We have two now. The civil attorneys be taking care of most of the stuff, but Amanda's, of course, the rules the roost over there. So welcome and glad to have you aboard. With that, we do have a quorum and we have a presentation to Commissioners Court of a written historical description, data, and photographs from the Rockport Center for the Arts regarding Klein's Cafe building commissioners building. And the commissioners will then turn Betty Stiles with the Texas Historical Commission and Iris Sanchez with the Aransas County Library historical notebooks that will be placed in their respective locations available for all to see. You want these presented now or after he? Yeah, I was going to say, let Luis talk. Luis, go ahead and make
Okay.
a presentation.
Good morning, Honorable Judge Mills, distinguished members of the court and guests. It's a pleasure to be here today to turn over to the county, specifically the Aransas County Historical Commission and the Aransas County Public Library, a dossier of information that contains historical data regarding the Klein's Cafe building, which is in the process, as you all have read in the newspaper, being elevated and eventually will be moved. So the dossiers contain, as I said, historical data, photography in black and white of the interior and the exterior of the building, as well as historical documentation that was prepared with a lot of assistance from different groups and people in the community, specifically Betty Stiles and her group, the Aransas County Historical Commission, Cheryl Livingston and her group, the Aransas County Historical Society, and Pam Stranahan with the History Center, but also a member of all the historical organizations in our county. The idea is that as this building is being moved, that this documentation will reside in perpetuity with these bodies that are part of the county. And also an electronic version will reside in perpetuity in the Rockport Center for the Arts website as well. And that is for anybody that wishes to study information about the Klein's Cafe building. How this started, you may be wondering, is in preparation for moving the building, a memorandum of agreement was arrived at between the Economic Development Administration, the Texas Historical Commission, the City of Rockport, and the Rockport Center for the Arts. You might want to say, well, how did that happen? That's a lot of people that have to agree to one thing, and it was a difficult and challenging process, but we were able to get through the agreement process, the legal reviews by all the lawyers for all the different entities. And one of the requirements in that memorandum of agreement is that before the building were touched for elevating and moving it, that we had to contract an architectural historian to properly document the building in detail. And some of the guidelines that were utilized were from the National Park Service. It's called HABS Level 1 documentation, or a version of that, which was what the Texas Historical Commission required. So we hope that the public, people, members of the staff and the court, will look to this information as they seek to learn more about the Klein's Cafe building, which is described as an art moderne style building. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Betty Stiles.
Thank you, Luis. We're very proud of the fact that we've got to put this historical building in its proper place. We are so delighted that we were able to salvage it, to keep it, and it's going to be around for a long time forward. And it's private money that did this. It's not taxpayer dollars or anything like it. It's all private money that's gone into this effort. So just want to thank the community, thank Mr. Myers and his wife, who had the foresight to buy the building and move it to its new location that will be on St. Mary's and Magnolia. So we're very proud of that. Thank you.
It's a great thing for Aransas County and the Klein's building. With that, I guess I'll put my mask back on. With the visitation was in the library. And maybe we'll get a picture.
We don't know why they lens. I'm just kidding.
Anybody like it?
Oh,
What are you trying to say?
whoa!
Good job.
All right, that was interesting for those who like it. I'm gonna tell you. All right.
Okay. That's next. We didn't do that. I'm sorry. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. Were there any citizens to be heard today? Thank God. I didn't mess up that bad then. Okay. On consent agenda, we have one. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made,
Second.
second by Commissioner Casterline. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove fourth quarter 2020 report from Rockport Center for the Arts. Luis, back on track here.
Trying to get it all done in 1 week.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judge. Are you going to pull up the report, Colin, so people can see the data?
I think he's asleep.
There we are.
No, there he is.
Okay. Let's move on to the slide. It looks like that. This is our fourth quarter report that covers marketing expenditures and visitation records for October, November, December of last year. And so in October, November, we our visual arts program cover the Artists in Residence program. We had a visitor from Santa Barbara, California. The artist's name is Evelyn Contreras. Her show was called The Fragile. It was there for a little bit over a month at the Estelle Star Gallery. An exciting show. She did a site installation and she did a lot of workshops with our artists in the community. Next slide. In November, we also had an exciting fashion event we call Women on the Verge of a Silver Meltdown. And it celebrates basically a burgeoning art form that is developing in our region, silversmithing, metalsmithing, people that work with metals to create wearable art. And that event happened on Saturday, November the 7th, and it was an all-day affair. We had 5 different artists that we were celebrating. We had about 300 women that came in pods and shopped, and the sales were very strong, $33,000 in one day. The event was sponsored by La Palmera Mall, as that card reflects. Then we moved into December. Next slide. We had our traditional Currents All Members show from November 25th until December 26th, which is when the last day that we were effectively there at the Estelle Star Gallery, because we have moved across the street to the Baker Law Firm, and that's where we'll be operating until our new facility is built. In the month of November, we also had a major tourism event, and we'll move 2 slides down. So it was the Rockport Film Festival, a 4-day event from November 12th to 15. Next slide. The goals of that event were to provide high quality cultural programming, to attract visitors from 75 plus miles, and to increase the prestige of the festival. Next slide. The strategies to accomplish these goals were to promote the festival in social media, using a social media influencer out of San Antonio. I'll talk more about that in a minute. And then partnering with radio. That was really important to us. So KMFA in Austin, KDT in Corpus Christi, and then KVRT and KVIC in Victoria, Texas, to try to draw tourism from those regions. In the next slide, you see our social media influencer, Modern NSA, abbreviated MISA, and that is Elizabeth Williams. You see on the top of the screen on the bottom, she was interviewing a young artist, a filmmaker from the Middle East who actually lives and works in the country of Germany. Next slide. So this is our radio and digital advertising campaign. You see what we did there with some of the radio information that I've already spoken about. Next slide. So here's the results of our social media and radio campaign. 72% of website traffic came from outside the coastal bend, including double visitors from Austin, San Antonio as compared to 2019. You have a graphic there with that rubric. In the
Luis,
Yes, ma'am.
one question. In the dark blue, I could not read the print. Could you tell us what location that is?
The darker blue,
Yes,
coastal bend,
thank you.
and it's 27%. Next slide, we have results in attendance. 383, you might say, wow, that's very little for putting such a high effort. We're still in the middle of a pandemic when we decided to host this event and to try to host it safely. How does it compare to prior attendance? And so I will say that the highest number of people we've had come to this event is 1,600 people. So it is a huge hit, about a fourth of expected attendance. And I'm saying that to you so that you can put that in perspective as we move forward beyond the campaign, beyond the pandemic. And once everybody gets vaccinated and there are more treatments available, you know, we want to go back to that exciting number of 1,600 people. We had 14 filmmakers come from different parts of the United States, and we managed to keep the event safe with no transmissions or a super spreader activity by any means. In the next slide, you have different rubrics that we're measuring here. We're comparing visitation from 2020 to last year. You could see that visitors in this year primarily were local residents, so 64%. And then we also had Corpus Christi was a big number. One of the reasons we moved the film festival from the November 1st, 2nd weekend was because our event used to compete with the Dia de los Muertos in Corpus Christi. And we wanted to get away from that weekend so we could capture the dollars that come from the Corpus Christi market. As far as the beyond the 75-mile market, you see that 36% visitors came from Austin, Dallas Fort Worth 33, Houston 16%, San Antonio 3%. That was a surprise. And outside the state of Texas, 12. How long did attendees stay in our fair cities? You see 3 nights was the biggest, about 11% of our visitors that actually stayed in hotels. And by the way, we had campaigns with 2 of Jatim Bacta's hotels, one in Fulton and one in Rockport, were 3 nights. So that's 11%. Some people stayed as long as 5. And 63% out of town attendees stayed for the full 4 days of the festival. In the next slide, you'll see that, we worked very closely with probably our favorite advertising partner because of the synergy we have with them, Glasstar out of Houston, Texas. It's an online art publication. It's very important. And they sent a reporter to cover the film festival the entire time from beginning to end, which resulted in 2 major articles being written for the activity. In the next slide, you see that we were really good at raising money. We had a lot of partners and collaborators. It was the highest sponsorship we have ever had for this very, very small event, as our other events are much larger than this one. So 33 local sponsors, 13 of them new ones, 4 media partners, and 2 hotel partners. Okay, so how did we do? Next slide. This is the visitation to the Art Center. That has nothing to do with the film festival. Next slide, please. So you see the data there. Altogether, we had 2,600 people visit our facility at Estelle Star during the quarter. From outside of the 75-mile market, we had a 40% average. If you take into account October, November, and December, local visitation, obviously would be, the average there would be 60%. As far as major metropolitan, our top market continues to be, and strongest market, the San Antonio market, with almost double-digit visitation all 3 months. Our secondary market is Houston, and our third market is Austin, with Dallas-Fort Worth a distant fourth. Major metro average is about 24% of visitation from those markets. And tourism from outside Texas was way down, 50% lower as compared to 2019. That's a significant drop. Rural tourism beyond 75 miles was comparable to 2019 with an average of about 11%. And so those are the visitation records to the facility, where every single person that walks in there is asked for their zip code and is recording in a ledger. And finally, how we spent the county's HOT funds. Next slide. You see the spread there for the entire year, the fiscal year of 2020. We didn't spend any money on the first quarter. You see that we spent about $2,000 in the second quarter for exhibitions. There were some bumps up, I should say, to the tune of over $5,000 in actual HOT funds received. The budgeted amount was $10,400. We actually received $15,600 almost. And so we had to be really creative how to expend the overages. And you could see that those decisions were made late in the fiscal year, around the third quarter, with a lot of investment in marketing the exhibits, primarily $6,000, and also a little bit of advertising for some of those exhibits and for the film festival as well. So we spent all of the $15,589.16 we received, and you have a distribution there of how those funds were spent. And that's my presentation. Are there any questions?
Luis, can you give us a little update on the timeline of your new building?
Well, as soon as the yes, sir. As soon as the Klein building has been moved, then we should be able to break ground. Where we are now with bids is the critical thing. So we submitted 2 public notices to the newspaper. Those notices have run. The bids were supposed to come in December 22nd. Questions from subcontractors to Teal Construction Company came in that caused some amendments to the bid package. So we had a total of 5 amendments. As a result, the deadline was extended from December 22nd, which was a good thing because it was right before the holidays, into January 7th. So on January 7th, this was last week, all the bids were received. Teal Construction Company is in the process of tabulating all of those bids so that we can arrive at a guaranteed maximum price. Because we're using a construction manager at risk vehicle for our project for building these buildings, the GMP is a requirement. It's something we have to go through. What will happen after we arrive at a GMP, if it is within our budget and our means of the funds that we have raised, including the EDA grant of 5 million, then that will get turned over to our project engineer with the EDA, and then she will give us a concurrence on that, and then we should get a notice to proceed, and then we can break ground.
Where's it? I'm sorry.
No problem.
Have we, have you received a rendering of what it's going to look like?
Yes.
Where's it located? Can we look
It's
at it?
in our offices. We have a lot of renderings. We've had construction documents at 100% for quite a while now. And that's what was submitted with the bid package in order for subs to be able to submit what their costs and materials for and labor costs might be. So if you
Luis?
want to come, our offices are at 638 East Market in the Al Johnson building. You're welcome to come anytime and look at them.
Luis, I would just like to commend you and your staff during this very unusual year that we've just passed through. You've continually found creative ways to offer art experiences to our community and beyond. And I think you're doing an excellent job.
Thank you so much. We work hard for
You know,
our community. We're getting ready to start our youth education programs back up. We lost some of our funding last year, which was, it was not fun to get no's from foundations, but, they're focused on more important things. Not that youth education is not important, but they're focused on people who don't have food on their tables, people who have lost their homes. They're focused on that. And because of that, we engineered a small campaign at the end of the year, and we're about 40% of our goal for fundraising to be able to cover all of our youth education expenses, because we want to do what we do. The reason we fundraise is so that we can offer these free youth education programs to our community. And we surely intend to meet our goal and deliver those programs.
How are y'all coming on art camp and things like that?
That's one of the youth education programs. So we need $48,000 to run the Free Family Saturdays and the Art Space program. We've raised 40% of that, which I think is 19,000. I'm doing it from memory. And so we need a little bit more. What we're doing now is, the community has come in very generously with 19,000, our art patrons and local community philanthropic families. And so the rest is now we're going to write some grants to some foundations that have funded us before to see if we can raise the balance. And I am sure we will get there. It's going to be hard work, but we will get there.
We do appreciate everything you do for the county, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning.
All right, the next item kind of stirred up my office a little bit when I saw it the first time. It was a typo. It said 25 new cars. Sheriff, I thought, man, what happened? But anyway, we got it fixed to 2. Oh, of course we do. Thank you, ma'am.
I move to approve the fourth quarter 2020 report for the Rockport Center for the Arts as given.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Commissioner Casterline. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. As I said, this one stirred us up, but we got it corrected. It's 2 new cars. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Commissioner Castelline. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Contracts and agreements. Someone want to make the motion?
I move to authorize the county judge to sign a lease agreement with Jerome Kruska.
Yeah. I would,
Long-term land lease on airport property for land upon which exists a box hangar. He is purchasing from the current land lease tenant, Grand Lawrence Corporation.
Motion made and seconded, Commissioner Cheney. All those in favor?
Are there, before we go on,
Discussion.
just to clarify, are we changing the terms at all? Are we just substituting parties? Same price and everything?
Same price. Well, yeah, everything is the same, Commissioner. It's the only thing that's changed is the date on the contract will now be March 1st, and the date on the next item on the agenda, the date will be changed for Grand Laurent, that they have to have the sale completed by March 1st.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Not. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Item number 6, do I have a motion?
I move to approve authorizing the county judge to sign a lease termination letter for Grand Laurent Corporation on its existing land lease of airport property, contingent upon full execution of a long-term lease agreement covering the same land with Jerome Kruska.
Motion
Second.
made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Lobach. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Item number 7. How about a motion?
I move to authorize the county judge to sign a 10-year renewal agreement on the existing land lease between Aransas County and Aransas County Navigation District for the Aquarium Education Center at a rate of $3,960 a year.
39,000.
39,000.
$39.60 a year, a total of $39,600 over the entire renewal term.
I'll second that motion. I have a question.
Yes.
Well, actually, I think you answered it. Never mind.
Is it, again, it's same, are we just renewing on the same terms? Is the rent the
No,
same?
it's 10% increase from 10 years ago.
From 10 years ago?
Yeah.
That seems pretty high.
John,
Yes,
per the contract, this is the first of 2 renewals that are allowed. Is that correct?
yes.
All right. Thanks.
All right, motion made and seconded by Commissioner Cheney. Any other questions or discussions? Mr. Strothman, you have anything to add?
No, that's just up here to answer
John,
questions.
is the aquarium is a separate lease?
Yes. And we're still waiting on that.
All right, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Item number 8, do we have a motion?
I move to approve resolution number R01-2021, resolution authorizing the county judge to issue notice of intent to award a contract for implementation of the Cedar Bio project. I'll second that motion.
Motion made,
I have a question.
Sure.
seconded. Yes, ma'am.
The part that is the local match where it says up to 174,000 from the county will be provided as required by FEMA in the state of Texas. We have that then?
Yes.
Thank you.
In other words, it's in the bank. We don't
Yes.
need to
No.
invade the budget or anything.
Nope.
And what's the total? I think is what, 50? How much was the total?
For what?
The total project
Total
cost?
project is $6,946,222.
And it's all covered by a variety of grants except for the
Right.
matching funds, which we
Right.
have.
And what are we going to do?
We're gonna redredge it,
Okay, is that all just dredging?
dredging and moving the material further down the beach.
Are we considering any kind of jetty or anything?
No, sir. It wouldn't get through federal approval.
And John, the funds are coming out of our account that we've been
Right.
stuff for Cedar Bio.
Yes. This project is now in at about 2 million less than we thought it was going to be. So
Pretty good shape.
we're in pretty good shape. And we have another group of funds that we're not even going to touch at this point.
Since we're going into, we're settled in with our budget and everything, could you, over the next month or two, put together where we are on all of our funds that your department is dealing with?
Sure.
I'd like that. I'd like to see where we're at, where percentage is, what's moving and what's languishing.
Yes.
Okay.
Not a problem at all.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. Commissioner Cheney. Discuss, approve, disapprove December 2020 indigent healthcare report. Ms. Cartwright is on Zoom if y'all have any questions.
I have a question, but do you want the motion first? Sir?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I move to approve the December 2020 indigent healthcare report as submitted. And I have a question.
Motion made and seconded. Question?
I just wanted to confirm with the treasurer that the amount that we're looking at expended to date equals 1/3 of the fiscal year being completed. Is that correct?
Right, this is through the 4th month of the fiscal year. And,
Aren't we into 4 months of the fiscal year as far as the state is concerned?
right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're in the 4th month. Yeah,
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
you're welcome.
Alma,
Yes,
how much do we anticipate is going to come out of that fund with the opening of the much needed new
ER?
emergency ER? Thank you. I couldn't for the life of me think of what it was. Are we going to fund?
we're in contact with them, and so we can channel our indigent through them as a provider, but it really won't increase our expenditures.
Okay. So we're not into any kind of agreement to pay them a certain amount a month to handle indigent. It's just as it comes in.
Right,
Okay.
as far as the indigent.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, changing the JP1 part-time county clerk to full-time civil court clerk at a pay group 11. Do I have a second? I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second. I'll second.
Second, Commissioner Castelline. Now discussion. Any discussion?
We had questions last time. Were you going to address those for us today? About the budget issues, where the money's going to come from? And
Well, for this year, I'm requesting it to come from the technology fund, and then I will put it in my budget for 2022.
and you have enough in the technology fund to cover it, so you're not asking for a hit against the general reserves.
There's enough in the fund.
Deal. Is this at the same level?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Same
I
level
thought
shift.
that's what we talked about.
She works 30 hours a week. So the 10 hours will come out of the other fund and the burden, I assume.
She works 30 hours a week doing this and 10 hours for other issues, or just
No.
30 hours a week?
She's part-time. She works 30 hours a week.
So she's 30 now and she's going to 40 is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. That's all.
Or maybe two. So you said the current person who's in this position is part-time and they're working 30 hours a week?
Up to 30. Sometimes it's less.
Okay, and I appreciate all of the information that was shared with us. In summarizing, would you say that what we're looking at then is that you have had about a 14% increase in your case filings over the last year?
Yes.
And you had a pretty significant increase the year before that, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other questions?
It's good.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove budget line item transfer. I think we know what that is. Right? Okay,
So moved.
motion made.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove accounts payable, payroll, and payroll liabilities.
You have the list of those. There are some annual maintenance and some other insurance and stuff that is paid. So this one is a little bit more than what you normally see for accounts payable. But keep in mind, they are just one time and they hit this budget, this accounts payable.
Move to approve the accounts payable, payroll, liability.
Motion made.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Lompoc. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Now we're at the time of department heads, elected official, have anything to bring up? Now's the time to do it. Yes, sir.
David, do you have most all your workers back? Do you have anybody out on COVID or anything, or?
Yeah, Chris is still out with a ankle surgery, but no COVID. Okay, we had a project this last year that kind of happened as an emergency. On tech side, as you know, we had quite a few weather events the last few years, hurricanes and tropical storms and heavy rains. Next, please. And one of the things that happened was erosion. This is Eggery Island Road. And it's hard to tell from this, but there's actually about a 10-foot drop from the roadway down to the water.
Wow.
And we got a lot of erosion through there, and it got within 6 feet of the pavement, which is getting really close, uncomfortable for the integrity of the road. Next, please. So the property, part of that was county right of way. Next, and part of it was owned by the state of Texas. So it took some permission from the state of Texas to do this work, but we came up with a plan, submitted it for permits. Next, please. And next. And this is another view from the water side showing how deep that erosion was. Next.
David, where is this?
Eggery Island. It's
Where?
on the.
Before you get to the bridge going to Bayside. Take
Yeah.
a
Okay.
right, a little bit shorter.
Okay.
Real dry.
So first thing we did was bring in county equipment and dig a ramp so we could get down to where the problem was, which was no easy feat. This was all done by county workers. Next. We got these concrete traffic barriers from TxDOT. You might have noticed them at the intersection 188 and where's that 1069, and they weigh, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 pounds. So, you know, it's pretty substantial to pick that up. But anyway, we got this to use as a toe of our slope. Next, please. And then backfilled behind it and brought in the rock. This is 18-inch by 12-inch stones, so it wasn't going to wash away very easily. Next, please.
David, where do we get our rock from on things like that? I know
This was from Martin Marietta, but you know, something like this this is not a common rock.
Right,
It's
that's
not,
what,
and they just happen to have it available to us.
what kind of rock is it?
It's just rock.
Just rock.
It's
Pure, plain old rock.
Yeah.
ROCK.
So what's
Big
so
rock.
special
Big rock.
about plain old rock?
It's big rock.
Big rock.
So this is the finished product, and then looking at it from the water side, that you can really get an idea of what's going on. Next, please. And this is before and after of what we did. And completed project. Next. And this is what we use: 167 tons of rock, 304, which is about 310 tons of dirt, 120 feet of concrete barrier, and that's what it took in about a week's worth of work. Is there another slide? Okay, and there were a lot of people responsible for getting this done. The Eddie Lopez, who's the Traco operator, who's really good, and you know, Hanson helped us with the permits. GLO helped us get the permits, put us in the right direction. Mr. Campbell donated the dirt so we didn't have to haul it across the county. So anyway, there was a lot of people that helped with this, and it was so far very successful.
How'd you pay for it, David? Was it just internal funds?
Yes.
The drainage fund?
A combination.
Okay.
Yep.
I'd like to just make a statement here. This is starting my 12th year on the court. And one of the first things that I noticed whenever the previous engineer was here, of the quality of the crew that the county has. You know, you hear kind of jokes, if you can't get another good job, go to work for the county. That's not the case here. The case here is that our county workers will stack up against anybody's. We've had roads wash out in my precinct, and we've had major drainage issues in my precinct. We've had all kinds of different things in my precinct because I'm primarily sand. And I have never found anything that this crew could not handle except for size. There's some things you just have to do out, but we get our money's worth with Road and Bridge.
I agree with you, and I appreciate you saying that, and I'll pass it on to the guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And we should be coming with some parking restrictions for that area.
Right.
Checking on
Right.
that.
We actually had put no parking signs out there when we saw how the erosion was, and they're still out there, but
Well, imagine the people who ride on the road are really happy with the improvements for safety.
well, I hope so. I kind of think for everybody we make happy, we piss somebody off. So.
Well, that's true. I've learned that myself. Well, except mostly goes the other way with me, but that's all right. All right. I appreciate the report. Commissioner Cheney,
Yes, sir.
you asked me earlier and I said no, but I've changed my mind. I will say that the emergency room opened up on the 5th, and it was a small crowd because of COVID. I think probably a little over the 30 that they said were going to be there, probably 50 or more. But it was a good opening and very, very well attended by the staff and some nice people working in the building. And they received their first ambulance 2 hours after they opened it. So it's good for everybody in Aransas County. I just want to say we really appreciate them being here and look forward to working with them in the future.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I visited with the staff there at quite some length. I think Pat was with me, and I was really impressed with them. I mean, it's not that this is another place where they can make money and stuff like that. I mean, they really care about Aransas County and Aransas County people. And I mean, they asked me a question, said, you see any difference between this and Code 3R? And I said, well, not really. I said, show me in a month how you are, and then we'll see. But I said, this is really good. But everybody I've talked to about that has just been so thankful to the county and to the Emergency Services District not Emergency Services District, Emergency Services Organization for making this happen. And I think this is something we're going to be proud of for a long time.
All right. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
You have a fees report. If anyone has a question on that, I'd be
Anybody
happy to answer them.
got a question on the feed report? I guess not. Sounds good.
Good.
Nothing else. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion
Adjourn.
made. Second. All those in favor?
Move to adjourn.
Unanimous. Thank you.